Second question is, we have a 5-year-old boy who can be very hard to motivate. He's a very relaxed and self-content little character who enjoys taking his time. Getting dressed in the morning can easily take up to 30 minutes. Homework, which could be finished in 15 minutes, drags on endlessly because it's hard to keep him motivated to finish. The parent writes, I have a very different personality and I like to get things done efficiently. Our different middot, together with the stress of other siblings, including a toddler, who are waiting for their turn to have my attention, makes the situation very difficult. Meaning very difficult for mom or dad, whoever's writing this. We've tried rewards in doing homework one-on-one with him when my husband gets home. Oh, it's hers, the mom is writing. But we haven't seen significant progress. So if rewards aren't working and doing homework one-on-one with him isn't working, what is the best approach to motivating this child who is so relaxed? Okay, so again, the answer I'm going to give right now is not categorical, meaning I wouldn't recommend what I'm about to recommend in every case of a child not being motivated to get dressed quickly or do homework quickly. But in this case, given the clues that mom revealed here, I think I would probably move in this direction. What mom is experiencing is very common today. I'll go even further and say that what mom is experiencing here is much more common today than it was 20 years ago. And it's becoming more and more of a problem every single day. In other words, the gap between the daily schedule and our children's behavior becomes more of a chasm every year. Okay, why is this? Which of the goalposts is moving? Is it the daily schedule or our children's behavior? Is it that 5-year-olds are losing their natural self-discipline? Or is it that our scheduling expectations are becoming increasingly demanding and rigid? Okay, now you probably understand where I'm headed already, but if you want to appreciate the point I'm about to make, I need to just open up to you a little bit personally. We're sitting in the inner circle. I'm going to talk to you about my personal life for a minute. Okay. If you haven't spent a lot of time with me in the past, then this may come as a shock, but I'm not a laissez-faire, spontaneous, unstructured kind of guy. I have a kollel. The vast majority of kollelim in the world start officially at 9 a.m. and the avrechim wander in around 9:30 a.m. At my kollel, the official start time is not 9 a.m. It's 8:45 a.m. Dafka. And no one in my kollel comes in repeatedly late and remains in the kollel. 8:50 a.m., 10 to 9 is unacceptable for an avrech at the CKD. So you would be misunderstanding where my advice regarding this particular unmotivated child is coming from if you thought that it's flowing forth from my generally relaxed standards, my low expectations, my chilled approach to life. I don't have what you would call a chilled approach to life. However, it is clear as day that if the goal is to get a CKD guy, someone who, like my kollel members, will show up at 8:40 a.m. every day, then you need to allow them first to be children. You have to give children a childhood. As the surrounding culture became increasingly obsessed, and that's not too strong a word, we become obsessed with goals. And that's been at the expense of paying any sort of serious attention to process. As we've prioritized goals over process, our child raising practices also focused on task completion instead of internal development. The result is that we are raising a generation of young adults who, with proper medication to give them supernatural focus and more meds to manage the accompanying anxiety, can jump through any hoop that we or their teachers place in front of them. They can sit like angels all day in school, paying perfect attention, 8, 10 hours in a row, and then they can come home and they can attentively complete 2 to 3 hours more of homework, as long as their Ritalin, Concerta, Vyvanse, Adderall, Dexedrine, or Focalin is being given at the right times and in the right doses. Pardon my cynicism. If all goes well, then our kids can skip 5th grade, graduate high school early, finish their bachelor's degree before they're age 19, complete graduate school before age 20 or 21. And that's viewed as enormous success. Okay, but let me be honest with you. I've met these hoop jumpers. I've spent time with dozens of Yale graduates who earn 4.0 GPAs and have zero personality, who have zero vision for themselves, who have zero vision for a better world. Their only vision is how effectively they will jump through the next hoops in life. We become so goal-oriented that the only internal development we absolutely demand of our children is their commitment to straight A's and perhaps taking their meds on time. In the rush, this feverish rush towards goals that don't really match our kids' developmental levels, we have sacrificed the process, the internal development, and all the stuff that historically created truly outstanding human beings. This isn't to say that there's something wrong with a kid finishing a master's or PhD in their early 20s, all while maintaining a 4.0 GPA. Some kids have that sort of personality and potential. They can do it without their daily dose of rocket fuel. And when a kid is like that, we celebrate it. No problem. But that's a tiny minority of the population. Most kids operate at different speeds. And those kids aren't less bright. They're not less potentially great. They may be even potentially deeper individuals, so they need to think, to putter, and to experience life in all its depth without being rushed on to the next crucial activity. This is the majority of the kids in the world. David Elkind, he's one of my favorite authors, and he's a professor emeritus at Tufts University. So he wrote a brilliant book, the first book I ever read from him, which is called The Hurried Child. And it describes so eloquently this fundamental need our children have, and the fundamental mistake we as a society are making in helping these kids achieve their potential. Okay, now, let's get back to your question. You beautifully described your 5-year-old. He's, quote, a very relaxed and self-content little character. Great. Let's not destroy that. What's the problem? He enjoys taking his time. Well, so did Leonardo da Vinci. So did Albert Einstein. But getting dressed in the morning can easily take up to 30 minutes. Oh, great. So let's allow 30 minutes, either by starting earlier or by completing the process later. But we can't do that because as parents, we don't have time for a child to spend 30 minutes getting dressed, even if that would be good for the child. It doesn't make a difference if that's what this child needs. We don't have time for what this child needs. And now we have arrived at the root of the problem. Today, you and I are compelled to make a choice between a schedule that fits the child and would maximize the child's potential, and a schedule that allows us to meet our community's demands. I've got to get my kids out to school by a certain time, and I have to be at work by a certain time, and I need to do a lot of really important things. And my kids' needs aren't permitting that. Okay, this is when we got to take a step back, and we've got to clarify our priorities. If I knew that my kid could grow up to be a giant, if I would give him the time to become a giant, would I do it? Even if that meant dancing around all the societal demands on me, all the societal demands on him, if I had to dance around the system to give him what he needs, would I do it if I knew he'd become a giant? If the system is broken, do I force my kid to comply anyway, even if it isn't the best for him? And truly, what are the costs of bringing a 5-year-old to school late every day? I'm not saying that there aren't costs, but do the costs of bringing him to school late every day, do those outweigh the benefits? Do those outweigh the costs of traumatizing this kid by rushing him through life, not ever giving him a chance to think, destroying his contemplative ability? Okay, the counter argument is kids need to be motivated. They need to be internally driven. Yes, exactly. And if we let them develop an internal world, then they will be internally driven. But if we strap them forcefully and sometimes psychiatrically to a mismatched schedule and insist that they achieve these academic markers of excellence, we don't create people with internal motivation. We create robotic hoop jumpers. You're worried that your 5-year-old son's homework, which could be finished in 15 minutes, drags on endlessly because it's hard to keep him motivated to finish. Okay, now, my question might sound naive, but why on earth do 5-year-olds have homework? Do they have so much academic material to master in kindergarten that it can't be done during the standard 3 to 6 hours? And if the problem is that your child is academically advanced for his age and he's already in first grade, I'll echo the question. Do first graders have so much they have to learn that it can't be managed in the classroom? They got to bring their work home with them? Okay, now I can hear another counter argument. I suppose someone could use a lesson that was taught by Revolba against everything that I'm saying, certainly about homework. Revolba said that genuine chinuch is starting a child doing whatever you want him to do forever. So if I want a child to do kindness forever, then it's chinuch, it's genuine education when I launch him doing his first acts of kindness. That's something I want him to do forever. So when I start him doing that, that's called chinuch. So too, you could argue, when our children grow up, we want them to always bring their work home from the office and do that work at home too. And homework is our way of getting them started in this pattern. So for the rest of their lives, they'll always bring their work home from the office. But then I got to ask, is that a Torah goal? Would it make a better society if more people brought their work home from the office? Would we be better off if we taught our kids perhaps to leave their work at work? And when they got home to spend time playing with those they love? What's a picture of a healthier person? Okay, now this is radical. I'm calling into question the entire institution of required homework, at least for kindergarten and first graders. But we can only solve a problem if we're willing to step back and reevaluate the whole picture. Okay, I'm not living in a dream. And I understand that schedule and homework are realities that every child has to face. And I suppose what I'm really saying is that our kids will manage those challenges, the challenges of schedule and homework and burdens. They'll handle all that much more effectively when they grow up a little more. If we give them space and time as young children to develop their internal worlds in a normal, non-pressured, healthy fashion. Parenting that is just a drop more relaxed may produce a much bigger overachiever later on in life.
I hope you liked that answer from Rabbi Kelemen. If you'd like to listen to more questions and answers and ask your own questions, as well as listen to brand new material that Rabbi Kelemen is producing right now, check it out at LawrenceKelemen.com. You put in your name and email address and we'll send you free lectures from all the new material Rabbi Kelemen has been publishing. Let us know if you have any questions. info@LawrenceKelemen.com.